How do you do? Greetings, blessings, salutations. We'd like to, we thought you might be interested in knowing a bit about how we came to get together in the first place. Our story is not perhaps the commonest. We didn't meet in a tavern or a pub or anything like that.
Oh, on the internet?
We didn't meet on the internet, no, we went old school. We met in person, straight out. We were both, for a few weeks, part of the same church, and yet somehow managed not to meet each other.
Yeah.
It's not a massive church, and one can see all the faces from one side to the other quite easily. But, I'd been there for many, many years. She'd kind of shown up, having moved down here. She spent a bit of time. She'd looked around at a few churches, I think, and then.
And I came there once as well.
Came there once and then
didn't come back.
Stopped
again.
for a while.
Yeah.
Did some growth and development at home, and then.
Yes, basically, I mean, I was praying and looking, focusing on God, trying to, find for Him to let me know, basically. I mean, looking for where to go and worship. So that was the thing I was doing for like about 2 years after moving here. I moved here from London, checked the church where I met my husband, but then obviously, I mean, I just still had to pray and focus and see where God wants me to be. So we stayed 2 years home, focusing on God and praying and just waiting for the guidance and leading. So before then, I mean, my husband found me with a daughter. So me and my daughter were just home doing that. We actually went back to London to visit family, and I was basically told that, you need to start to find a church where you can actually be going. It's not good for you to just be staying home. So I was like, okay, yes, I will have to find somewhere. And then I came home. We came back, and then a brother of in Christ also, had told me before as well the same thing. You need to find a church where you can be able to go and worship and meet other people, which is supposed to be good for you and also good for the young one. So I was like, okay, yes, I will do that. But then when I was in London, I got very unwell. So we came back home here. I wasn't very well. And so on a Sunday came, and I had a brother in church who actually messaged me saying, I hope you're getting ready for church. And I was like, I had made up my mind, saying to myself, just stay home, you don't need to go out, you don't need to do all this. And after all, you're not feeling too well, you don't want to go and give anybody what you're having. And from the way he said it, I just went on, because Wesley had said, oh yes, I'll find a church, I'm going to start somewhere, we'll start somewhere. So I was like, oh yes, okay, I'm just going to better just move and make a way to go to the church. And then obviously we just ended up going to the same church that me and my husband met. I went there, and it felt, that I should be there. So when we started going there, few weeks, me and my daughter, we attended there, and we also filled in everything, the forms of becoming members and everything else that is needed. And then yeah, and I didn't come across to my husband. Apart, I didn't know he was part of the choir and other stuff as well. So
I'd had a couple of weeks where I'd had one or two preaching engagements elsewhere and one or two other distractions. I think I'd maybe been 1 week out of the 5 and possibly at most. Just happened to have been elsewhere for most of that. So then we come to the first Saturday in September.
Yes.
2019.
Oh, he is very good with dates.
Yep.
That's so good. So what happened was that I was told. I actually asked the pastor because one service there was baptism. So I actually said, I want to be put down for baptism because I couldn't remember anything if I've been baptized or not. Sorry, excuse me. I've been found Christ and everything else and spoken tongues as well, but anyway, I couldn't remember that if I was baptized or not. So I asked the pastor and I said, I don't remember if I've been baptized, so I'm interested in this baptism. So I was registered to be baptized as well. And then there was this church service that was going on. Sorry, the outing away.
Church away day, yeah.
Yes, which was
on a local campsite. With I think there was some preaching and some singing of songs and some other general activities as well as food, of course. It's Baptist away day,
yes.
Always food. So we both found ourselves at this. Bumped into each other, I think, somewhere near the
yes,
serving of tea or something.
Yes, there was a place where they were serving food where the caterer were. There was a kitchen, in the kitchen actually. Yep. So we went there. Because I was familiar with the lady, the chef. The lady, I remembered her from the church, so I went to talk to her. And then my husband, because he also ended up there, and
drawn by food.
Yes, your tea actually.
Cup of tea, yeah, may have been that.
So I was like, okay, so we just talked, and he made the joke. Actually, I can't remember what joke he made.
No idea.
But we were like, yes, so we were like, okay, and because it was just me and my daughter, and I was actually asked to go to that away day because I was being baptized next day. So I was actually told by the minister. He said to me, why don't you sorry, excuse me again.
We're having fun with this one tonight.
The minister said to me, he said, why don't you come to the away day because of so you can meet other people, other members in the church, since you have been baptized, and they can also meet you, and you have chats and things like that, just to get
to know people.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes, so that's how I ended up there. And because I don't drive, I still don't drive. I didn't drive then either. So they said, somebody said, oh no, I can actually give you a lift there and then drop you back as well. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll come. So we went, and that's obviously I met him.
Yep.
At the in the kitchen. So we started talking, and then he said, because he had mom and my in-laws were there as well, and also his sister, and also as well husband and her son, and
Her
also
son,
as well
my
my
son.
husband's son, my stepson now. Yes, so we were there. So basically, it's like we met some of his important family members.
Yep. Got all of that out in the first go without realising there was anything to it.
Yes.
So then, yeah, that was enjoyable. We chatted. We enjoyed half the day,
Yes.
and then parted ways. Not expecting to make too much of it.
Yeah. So after that, we came.
So then the following day was your baptism,
Yes.
and I was on drums.
Yeah, which
So-
was quite.
I was a little bit surprised to be invited into the photos at the end, but there we go. Turns out there may have been a good reason after all.
So sorry, I'm in again.
So from there, again, no particular expectations at this stage. I had come out of a previous marriage the previous year, a little over a year earlier, about a year and a quarter or so earlier. And I had been sort of praying and trying to ascertain from God whether I should be looking for another relationship or whether I should be calling it quits and just focusing on
God.
and on some form of ministry, because I'd started to take an interest in that at that stage. So yeah, we'll skip forward a little bit. So then you've
We had
asked to have
had this thing that we had. It was quite we basically enjoyed each other's company. We enjoyed talking to each other. There wasn't, we had when I went to the church, I felt I didn't feel right whenever I left without having a chat with my husband, which is kind of funny.
I found the same thing, which felt odd. What was nice was that we started talking quite often about either about the service itself or about some things of God generally after the service, which we didn't encounter much with other people. So it was quite a treat to be able to discuss godly things with someone after the service, rather than just the football or what's on telly. Which, after all, you can have those conversations at work.
Yes, so I was like, I found myself, like when I was at home, looking forward to church. And I was like, at one point, I thought to myself, I started thinking, I said to myself, I am looking forward to actually getting to church so I can go and talk to David. And I rebuked myself. I said, no, stop that. What are you doing? Why do you want to talk to this guy for? Why? So, the other thing is because I had been myself as well in a relationship before, which we'll come to talk about one of the days, and continue concerning, so you can know a bit more about us, where we're coming from, our testimonies and things we've been through, our relationships as well. So we'll come and talk about that, because that is another thing, big thing. But I was believing, to God for somebody else that was the person. So when I had another man come in my head, I was like, I rebuked myself. I said, no, get out of my head. I rebuke you. So not knowing that obviously he was feeling the same way when he didn't talk to me. He felt uncomfortable, and
I felt like I'd missed out on something.
Yes, felt like missed out on something.
Strangely disappointed.
Yeah.
So then then you asked to have a Bible study in your house.
Yes.
And I think it was the youth minister came to speak to me and suggested that I might like to run that. And I was more pleased than made particular sense, even from a sort of trying to get into a ministry type of thing point of view, which was, it's encouraging in that regard. But yeah, so I was pleased with the idea. It took a little working out how to fit it around other things at the time. But we managed, and we started it, I think, must have been February,
Yes.
mid or late February, I think, 2020.
Yes.
Now, some of you might be starting to see where this might end up. Mid to late February 2020, we started our Bible study. We got, we started to get a little bit of a group. I think we had a couple of weeks. We had a week where, so I think we ran 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. And then we had a week where nobody showed up. And we decided to go ahead anyway. I'm not sure how much Bible study we got in that week.
We did.
We did get little, we certainly
did. We started, but then obviously he was, actually before that, we had a situation where I prayed. No, you said I prayed for God to give you. Since you said you spoke about your
yes, that's
relationship.
true. Actually, yeah.
My husband spoke about his
In the previous session,
failed marriage,
and
I prayed concerning him finding the right woman.
Yep.
Because he had been in a relationship before, and obviously the person he was married to was not a follower of Christ. So he had he said he wanted he had this thing that he wanted a person who is gonna pray with him and sing with him as well. So he had all these things that he had actually spoken to God about.
Yep.
So I prayed concerning that when we had a group meeting, and yeah, that's what I did. And then obviously,
I think it may have been from somewhere around that point that I started to question: is this the person? Is she the person she's praying about? Actually. But it stayed there in the back of my mind, and I couldn't do much with it, for a couple of reasons, and one of them may seem properly silly. I was quite unable to guess her age, and I didn't want to be. I couldn't really decide whether it was going to be overstepping a mark or not as well. So I was playing it fairly cautious.
And not only that as well, I also said about that I was waiting, believing God for a man, for somebody else that I was praying for.
Uh-huh.
On the same, I don't think it was that time actually. No, it was on the phone that I said that.
That comes, that comes a bit later. Yes, that's an interesting one. We'll come to that in a bit. So we've had this Bible study, just the two of us, which was quite fun. Yes. I was allowed to enter the kitchen and try and make myself. She didn't have any tea stuff, no tea, no coffee, no hot chocolate. She did have cocoa, so I racked my brains to try and remember how to do that, and made a mess of her kitchen. That's a good start. Apparently got away with it. And we talked to about 3 o'clock in the morning or something.
Yeah, after we finished the Bible study, we spoke for a long time. He just didn't leave my home. He kept going and going. Actually, it was about 4.
Was it?
Yeah.
It might have been.
About 4 o'clock in the morning.
It was definitely a late finish. may not have slept as much as I ought to that night. Still, there we go. There was a lot of talking, and then we did part ways. And then I think the following week was the week where
they said there was lockdown.
Yeah, they announced the lockdown. I had a little rebellious meeting the following week. So the following week, because they had just announced the lockdown. So Obeda felt that she couldn't host a meeting in opposition to the rules. I was perhaps slightly more rebellious, and the rest of us had a meeting around another friend's house, and we prayed, and that was about it. And then it was, okay, how do we do this? From then on, we were stuck with doing it online. I started off on Messenger, I think, or something.
You had COVID.
Because that's what I already had. Oh yeah,
you had COVID.
I actually had
before
COVID.
That.
Yeah, I actually had COVID around about that time as well. So
you got sick, and then I messaged actually saying, "How are you?"
Yep.
How did then? Because you people, I tried to find out how their meeting went, and then obviously you told me.
Yep.
That he told me that he had COVID. And he wasn't feeling too well, actually. You said you were not feeling too well.
No, I had a total of 3 days off work. Then a weekend, which was helpful, which meant I had 5 days to recover, and then I absolutely had to get back in because I had sort of urgent things that needed doing, and I wasn't too bad by then. It had given me time to watch my way through Lord of the Rings, which I enjoyed.
So we spent time, when you told me he was not very well, we spent a long time chatting on the phone for some time. We talked longer than usual.
That must have been the start of April.
I can't
or
remember. I'm not really good with dates.
No.
But we ended up talking for a long time on the phone, and we started texting each other.
Yeah.
And then from there, we went on.
End of March.
Started doing. We decided that we're gonna be doing the Bible studies online.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went on to do that, everybody else left, but we remained together because we enjoyed each other's company. We remained together chatting.
They didn't all leave at once. It was sort of over a period of time. The group kind of broke down, and
I was talking about leaving the chat.
Oh, leaving the chat. Yes, sorry. Okay. Yeah. So
they all left
at the end of each meeting, all the rest of the group would leave the chat, and then the two of us would just carry on talking.
Yeah. We actually didn't just talk. We actually spent time studying the word. Yep. Which was quite amazing. We read the word, and we decided, and then we decided to be doing that more regularly. We did it like nearly every day. Yep. Where we we read the word itself and discussed, which was quite an amazing thing, and this was during lockdown. Yep. So which we did, spent more time together reading the word, and then having found out about the situation that we were in, our past relationships. We actually felt that it was we wanted the best for each other, so we went on and started praying for one another's.
We had one night early in April,
relationships,
where we prayed extensively about. I think this one went through to about 7 o'clock in the morning, and during the process, we prayed about each other's relationships
because we felt we want the best for one another, and prayed because that it was. I mean, for me, I don't know about my husband. For me, I wasn't thinking of him in that way, because I didn't question even anything like that. Apart from, I don't want to be thinking about this person. Why am I thinking about this person? I enjoyed, talking with him. I enjoyed talking with him.
You want to go down? Now, for my part, this was the conversation at which I knew, or I felt suddenly, profoundly, that I really loved Obeda. But it did take on this form. A part of me felt I really want, this is the person I want to marry. And then right at the end of this conversation, do we do the deliverance thing or do we make a separate thing of that?
Well, that would be different.
'Cause
that would be a different issue where we come about how the deliverance and all that.
Happens to land in this.
So we went on and we were talking and believed for each other. Well, we wanted the best for each other, prayed for one another's prayer requests of reconciliation with the relationships that we were involved in before.
Yep.
So we were. It was more important to us to see each other happy.
Yes.
So we prayed and prayed and prayed.
That mattered. That was important.
Yes, very important to us. But then obviously we kept on going. Carried on with the Bible study and everything else. And then at one point, obviously, my husband, he told me. I mean, I don't think you even knew. I don't think I told you about my. Oh no! I think first of all,
it was in that overnight that you told me about.
Yes, the relationship that there was somebody else. We're not mentioning names because that is in the past, and also
someone who you felt was
the person,
was the intended person.
Yes.
But things didn't seem to be going in the right direction at the time.
Yes.
And so that was right at the end of that long conversation. Which meant that having got this profound certainty that I loved Obeda, I was then faced with this: how much do you love her? Is her happiness more important than what you think you want? And it was. So we prayed for each other's partners, that they would come to really know the Lord well, and that things would work out correctly. And so there was an additional reason why that was extra hard, and we'll deal with that in another video, because that's a subject that we want to cover on its own. But, then we continued largely as we were with the Bible studies. Yes. I did take to, I had a couple of inspired poems that got written down. And if I'd been wise and kept them to myself, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in now. But no, I had to share them with their intended subject.
Which one day my husband will be able to share on here as well.
I will record them for you at some point. Put them out publicly.
Yeah. So, one of them is actually hanging on our kitchen sink. I think that was the first one he ever wrote.
It was, yeah. And that one was inspired actually the week no one else came, and we were, I made a mess in your kitchen with the cocoa. So yeah, that's where that one came from. Okay. The others came a bit later, but I think there must be 7 or 8 of them now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we carried on for some time and prayed as well, but then interestingly,
4 weeks later, my inspired poetry was getting a little bit much, and she felt that she had to put me back in my place and say, look, I know I'm intended for another person, therefore you need to stop this. Which was a nice idea. It didn't stop. But we did pray more about each other's situations and for signs going forward of what's the right path for us at this point. and in particular, we prayed about her, who she felt she was intended for, and that situation, and what God's leading was in that way at this point in time. And all of a sudden, the signs kind of came together for you as well.
Yeah.
And a week later, she said, okay, well, since I'm clearly not getting rid of you, and the signs have landed this way, it seems like God's saying, you're actually the person now, so let's give this a try. So that's how it came about. And by that point, we'd known each other for 8 months.
Yeah.
That is to say, it was 8 months after we'd met. And it was just over a month and a half into lockdown, I think.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
That's where it all began. From there, of course, it just snowballed and...
I did it really.
No, it's been a long and complicated journey, and there'll be more episodes, I think, on this, just to give you an idea of some of the fun things that we've been through. But that's the basics. That's where it started.
And also, my husband was obviously still. He was still. What is this? It was a separation.
Yeah, technically, I was only separated. I hadn't divorced at that point. I was still trying to discern. This is another subject we'll go into more on another occasion. But I was trying to discern whether that relationship was fully over, or whether I should be going back to it at some point. Try and make it work, because technically I was still married to the woman. In the end, of course, the conclusion was no. But
that came after. The relationship we got involved into came after we had decided that's not going to work.
Yes, when I realised that the calling was in this direction and not that direction, there was a positive reinforcement there, as well as the that's definitely over.
And there was also.
Then we knew what to do.
There was also deliverance, and also as well.
Yep.
There's all these things to come. There was deliverance, and I say, not only that as well. We also faced a situation where I came across to the Bible. For example, my husband said the reason why he was still staying in there, because obviously, he stayed in that relationship because it says not to divorce.
Yeah.
So he continued.
There's a lot in the Bible that seems to encourage the maintenance of a marriage, even when things are difficult and seem to be going horrifically wrong.
Yes.
There are things that in the Bible that also talk about separating.
Yes.
But there are less of them, and they are perhaps less well known and less preached.
We came across to understanding that it's important, because it's important to read the whole verse, because a lot of people, what they do is they read some of the things, they don't read everything. And having to understand what the Bible is saying as well, it's quite important, because it helps on how you carry forward, whether you stay or you move forward. And my husband was in a relationship, obviously, and so he carried on, and after all that, anyway, he said he was coming. We started off something, and then this came to me, and after the finding about him, what I found out, I had to obviously say, actually, you know what, I don't think I can be with you. You need to go back to stay there. Don't get divorced. Stay there with this woman, because this was the situation. because I mean, for example, we found out that he was actually didn't have a relationship with Christ, and he was in that relationship. And now the Bible tells us if you are in that relationship and you find Christ, you need to stay in that relationship with that person. But if that person wants to break from you, then you've got to break away from them. You cannot stay with that person. You cannot force yourself to be with that person, because your lives are just so different. You will face struggles. You will face challenges in life, because we know very well darkness and light don't mix. And where the situations are like that, it causes a lot of problems because there is spirits involved here. So the devil will be fighting, and then so you cannot really cope together and enjoy that marriage. It's quite impossible to do that. So my husband was obviously now you got that, you got to know Christ properly. And there was deliverance as well, which we'll come and talk about very soon in other videos, when we talk about deliverance and things like that, addictions as well, which we'll talk about. So I was caught up onto that verse kept coming, and I said, you know what, I want to do things right if I'm going through this route. I love you, but I cannot be with you, because you are attached to somebody else, and I cannot do that. And by the way, we did not sleep with each other, by the way, like other people do. We followed things right. So he went on, and I said, okay.
I had to speak to.
Yes, so we actually prayed about it, and he had to speak to his ex, because I mean, for me myself, I was all clear, because my the father of my daughter, didn't want anything. He basically actually left me when I was pregnant. I mean, it's a long story. There's a lot more to talk about, and how I got to even get to that pregnancy as well, because I would like to come and talk about these things as well, which will be important. So anyway, he went on. My husband went on, and
so I had to contact my ex.
We have prayed about it. We prayed about it, following what the Bible was telling us to do,
and say, if you want me back, I will
and basically,
come
actually,
back.
my husband said, I've already asked. She said no twice, and is it twice? And you want me to go and ask again the woman, to take me back?
It was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
And the other thing was, I mean, there are things, and my husband had to write letters as well to them, to his ex, because he's been married twice. And it's long stories. God is amazing, and he changes people. And once you are in Christ, you are a new creation. You are all new. All things are passed away. All of us, we have a past. He's got a past. I have a past. We're coming through things, and even myself, I've gone through deliverance as well. I've done things in my life that are shocking. And I mean, to be honest, I think it's been better than mine. So
we make mistakes. My mistakes didn't look all that bad, so I was able to believe that they weren't that bad until I properly understood how bad they were.
Yes. So we'll come and talk about that. Yes, it will be about testimonies, about deliverance and addictions and all that. And the same thing for me as well, which we'll talk about, so you can actually get to know a bit more about us, where we are coming from, and and
what God's done for us. Properly.
Yes, which is an amazing thing, actually. So so we followed the ways that things should be done, and I was like, no, you just a festival. He had to write letters to these people that he had been married before, apologizing for his doing.
That will come in the deliverance one, really, I think.
Just trying to see where the other stuff came from as well. So that's just a little bit of a taste of what happened. So he had to apologize, and then obviously he had to go and now talk to his wife at the time. you can take over.
Yeah, so I had to ask whether she was willing to have me back or not, and I was actually quite glad when she just said no.
She was aware that he had started up a relationship, obviously, but but then the thing is, because we have to follow the way the Bible is saying.
Yep.
So he went on and he
That's
said to
in
her,
1 Corinthians.
he said to
Just a
her,
second.
don't worry about the verses.
Yep.
He said to her that if you just check about marriage and all that, and you will find it anyway. This is one of his Paul's letters. So he went on and he said to her, he said, I'm now, this is how it is, and we believe, me and Obeda think that, we should give this a go, because this is what is required of us. So I can't start a relationship with this person because I'm married to you, and I should be with, this is what the Bible says.
Yep.
It requires me to be with you instead of this and this. And I had to stay in another room, knowing with my heart, knowing that this is a person that I love, but I've got to let them go, because I care about them. I've gotten to love them. And we did lots of things together. We went out, and it was something that was beautiful, having someone in my life after a long time of just being me and Doreen. And my prayer was always being that I always wanted my child to have a father, and he became a father to her, and we did things together. It was quite an amazing thing. But to do things right, this verse in the Bible had been brought to my face, that I have to go by the rules. He was like, no, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. She's already said no.
Yeah.
But I said, no, I'm really sorry, but you've got to do it, because it is the right thing. I want to do right before God, than just going on and being self-centered, selfish, and saying this is what I want. I had been through things in my life where you come and hear about, and this time I thought to myself, I want to do things right. I don't want to do things that are not okay with God. Jesus has to be right with everything that I'm doing in order for him to be involved in whatever I'm doing.
Yep.
So that's the situation, and obviously, like he said,
yeah. So I had to go and ask and say, look, this is how it is. We're married. I'm prepared to come back if you're prepared to have me back. And in the end, she said no. She wasn't interested in that. She didn't want that.
She actually said, what you said was that she wants to give us a chance. That's what she said. I want you people to have a chance. So yeah. And then there was long procedure now for divorce.
Yep, that meant
procedure that was holding on for some time.
Yep, that took, so having got together May 2020, it was 8th of May, wasn't it? We agreed to start something, and then we ran into this hurdle that we had to deal with, and then I've lost my thread now.
Well, anyway, he had to what is this? He was going through divorce, and obviously we can't move forward, or when he has to be.
Yeah. The divorce. That's it. The divorce didn't complete until sometime. I think it was early 2022. By the time that was all finished.
So it took quite a long time to get through, and it was all because of a property that was going on, and there was all these I think I would say not a very good negotiations and the thing that was been sorted that, I don't know how my husband thought he can still be having a house with another woman, sort of saying that, while we are together, without even consulting me. And they just decided, that that's what the case was going to be. And then one day they will sell their house and she'll give him a bit of whatever. So anyway, that's not the situation.
No.
It was just
in the end, it had to be resolved.
yes,
So,
because he had a lawyer who went on and said, no, that's not right.
yeah, explained the legal aspects.
Yes, because I didn't,
problems that it would raise.
Yes, I didn't even know myself. And then the lawyer came up and said to him, no, you can't do that, because it means you cannot have your own property if you're having to have that one there. You've put your name on there. You cannot be able to move that. You
The
can't.
mortgage factor.
Yes.
Can't.
So that raised questions, because she said, no, I cannot do that. I cannot proceed you on the terms that you are this and this.
Yeah.
If you are on the property, they need to put a time, how long it's gonna be for her to sell it.
Yep.
So that was the situation, because she had to come up with a time, that because they were saying that they're gonna sell, but no time was put there. It was just
that took quite a long time to resolve.
And then they had to put the house on sale.
Again, that was something which negotiation wasn't going to resolve, and so God moved his hand to make it necessary from the other end.
Yes, because obviously things were being held.
Yep.
Understanding anyway, from what we came across to understand, because we were given reasons.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we know God works, for good to those who are called according to his purpose.
Yep.
So we went through things, but it's an amazing thing. We just thank God that we've been given a chance to
Should we bring it right up to the wedding?
I mean, I'm gonna say that one sec. We thank God that we've been given a chance to try again. We are a blended family. I have a daughter, Doreen, who is obviously my husband's daughter too, because he's always there with her. He's there for her.
Taking up that responsibility.
Yes, and we know it takes a lot to be a father, and he's taken that. It's an amazing thing. So it's an answer prayer for me, because that's what I wanted. My ex, obviously, he had his own. He wanted the best for me as well. He said, obviously, he can't give me what I want, so he's happy for me, which is an amazing thing on that side.
It's been really helpful that he's really supportive, actually.
Yeah. So
it's nice.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get to see him in videos because he doesn't like to be in videos, but so Doreen now has two fathers. It's an amazing thing. Yeah.
He who shall remain anonymous.
Yes. He's there. He's in our lives. Even though he's not seen, he's there. He's known. So yeah. So yeah, it's great, and he does what he does, and he does as well what he does. They all have their own responsibilities, and they get on together as well. Which is an amazing thing. So we thank God for that. And same thing with his family as well, and they've accepted us and accepted my husband, and also as well, he loves us as well, and they love us as well, his siblings, his family. So which is an amazing thing, which is great. It's nice to actually have to have that, which is an amazing thing. Yeah. So yes. So and my husband has got two sons before us. Yeah.
Yep. One from each marriage.
Yes, which he will talk about one day as well, because it will be nice. Likely. It's important for you to know where we're coming from and how we got here, and also to know that if you faced in life situations like what we have been through, which you will hear, it is not too late for you. God can use you. He can make things new for you, and he can do miracles and wonders in your life.
It certainly can.
Yes. And he can give you that which you have actually been desiring, the desire of your heart. like I said myself, so long you are doing things right, trust in the Lord and do good, so you live in the land and enjoy security. When we trust God,
Seek
He gives
first
us
God's kingdom.
yes,
He
and
knows
the
you
rest.
need these things.
Yes,
He'll give you what you need.
yes. So we faced situations like
Matthew
that.
chapter 6.
Yes.
Favorite passage.
So it's just an amazing. He's amazing. So
Yeah.
I wanted, my heart always desired for my daughter to have a father.
Yeah.
I grew up with no father myself, so my desire was always for her to have somebody, and God granted that, because I couldn't get it from a biological father, but we know that is, God uses people for people to come here. We just use that, but we all belong to God, and we are angels. And God blessed her, with a father. From the time she was 3 years old, she got to know David, and he was there on her fourth birthday. But before she was 4, when she was 3 years old, he got to know her. He knew her from the church. So I thank God for that. And then we'll come. One of these days we'll also tell you. Just bear with. We'll tell you about the coming of Azzy as well, and the marriage as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So
great adventures.
But anyway, so we got to all that, and then obviously the house was put on sale.
Yep. The house was put on sale. Eventually a sale date was agreed, and whatnot. But meanwhile, we've been planning the wedding. We gave ourselves 6 months. And well, you may have seen 1 or 2 of the videos. There may be more to come. Not all the organisation went 100% smoothly, but it went pretty well on the whole.
Yeah. It was amazing.
It was a well worthwhile day.
Yes. God did it.
Yep.
He did it.
Yeah. And the intention was, of course, to use at least some of the money from the house to pay for the various aspects of the wedding.
I don't think we don't need to talk about that.
The money didn't come through quick enough for it to work like that, but God provided through 1 or 2 other people.
All right.
Some by means of loan, some by means of gift, that got the wedding paid for. So that when the money did come through, it was we had some things to repay, but it didn't stop the wedding.
It was amazing anyway. We thank God.
It was beautiful.
Yes, we thank God. It was all done on the right time, and things were provided for.
Yep.
So yeah, it was really lovely.
God showed us that we have friends.
Yes. Yeah. And we do have videos that's gonna come, and with our gifts and other stuff as well. Just watch out to that, for that actually. So anyway, so we got married on 27th of August 2022.
Well done.
I remembered.
One date she can remember. Woohoo! Something important must have happened.
So that's us, and that's how we ended up here. So thank you so much for joining us, and catch you later on some more things to come. We're not even sure what we're going to talk about next. It might be maybe I don't know. Should we talk about maybe deliverance or things like that?
We've got quite a collection of things to discuss.
It's a lot. It is a lot.
We'll try not to take a whole hour with all of them.
Yeah, it is a lot, to be honest, a lot. Bear with us. Bear with us.
Don't worry. It won't all come at once.
We are children of God. We have the Spirit of God within us.
Yeah.
Don't take our past and judge us. It is well. God knows everything. and you will hear everything how it came to be.
Yeah, I will say that everyone has a past, and even the most pious and serene seeming Christians that you know came from somewhere. They weren't always like that. But God puts things behind us. The wonderful thing about the forgiveness of Christ is that what's past is past. You can start again, and you don't have to do it the same way. It's amazing.
And the other thing is that my husband said, he was like, this is not the, he was surprised actually. I mean, even though it was, he said he had never been with a brown person before,
That's true. I hadn't even imagined that. When I'd been writing, I wrote down a message to God about what I thought I might be hoping for. And it didn't include African
black either.
ethnicity.
No, you said Chinese. That's it.
Yep. I was open to kind of quite a broad scope, but there was always this proviso of, but you know best anyway. I'd got a few ideas. Some of them I'm not going to share with you because they're personal.
And the only thing, that's why he said this is now it's up to you. Because before it was, in your past relationship, it was like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And, I want this. Like, God, this is what I want. Just take this. This is what I want.
I had made the mistake of saying, look, here I am, God. This is the relationship I'm planning to go into. Is that okay? Because I'm doing it now. Not really waiting for an answer. Or perhaps just not really discerning what may have been obvious to someone.
But again, I mean, how can you discern when you don't have Christ?
This is it.
So we'll come to all that, bear with. And also as well, like my husband said, all of us said actually, we've all had a past and we've made mistakes.
Yep.
And God doesn't hold us with our mistakes. When it's gone, it's forgiven us. It is forgiven. Yep. So we'll chat soon. And I hope you join us the next one and get to hear a bit more about us from David and Obeda. Much love. God bless you. Bye bye. Stay blessed.
Bye bye.